This mean form is for this last. So you see it's ERO 1979, ERO 1979. If you reach your thumb, take one side of the last and work with it. That's up to you. I make my beam forms once and I use it all the times. So I don't need to take this last again. I can just immediately go straight to design it. That I can basically take this, scan it, or take a 100% photograph of it, put it into my computer and use that scan to do a digitized pattern. I can actually make my patterns on a CAD software. But today is not about talking about the advantages of Moonform. It just occurred to me that it's been a long time since we did design of Monkstraps. And during the Christmas holiday, someone asked me to teach again how to design Monkstraps. So I'm going to do that right now. That's the heel height. So yeah, let's extend this line. We will take the counterpoint of the vertical line and the ball on the horizontal line. The counterpoint at the vertical, ball at the horizontal, and then we will mark in our mean form. So this is our van point, this is our instep, of course that's our counterpoint, and that's the ball. This is the tip of the last right there. So those are the cardinal points that I need for my design. Counter. Yay. Yeah, we'll work with that. This is actually, we should have gone all the way up there. This is what we should have had, but reducing our heel height by about 0.5 cm won't hurt. So we take note of that. So let's go ahead and design. In fact, it will be nice to do this design with a pencil so that I can erase things. Design is about feeling. It's not all math. So we'll pause the video right now and go and get a pencil, and then I'll get back. Hey, look what I found. A stubby pencil. It used to belong to my daughter. It belongs to me now. So let's start our design. Draw our vamp line, which is of course the line that runs from the vamp point to the ball. Vamp line. Take a reading of the vamp line. What measurement is the vamp line? It comes to just shy of 9 centimeters, meaning that the bisection point, that is big English for dividing the line into two, will be 4.5. So that's the middle of the line. Then we'll draw the quarter line to come from the counterpoint to the middle of the vamp line. Quarter line. What is the measurement of the quarter line? On this last, it is 20 cm. You divide it into two. That's 10. If we draw a line from the instep to that point, we have the first part of our top line. Like I said, I like to start my back height just a little above the counterpoint. So if we imagine a line that comes from there to the same point, we can extend that line, but we're not going there. We will stop at this point. Right. That means if we curve this line like so and curve that one like so, we have our top line. But I want to know how deep this curve is going to be, so I'm not going to curve it in just yet. However, I suppose that this one is good enough for curving in. Remember, what are we trying to design? We are trying to design a Monkstrap. If we're designing a Monkstrap, we really don't need to do that. So let's design the derby parts. If it is a derby, we usually start our quarters just about 1 cm behind the van point. You can start at the van point, you can start about 1 cm behind the van point, 1.5 cm behind the van point, but never in front of the van point, right? So let's start about 1 cm behind the van point. Before we do that, let's make this a straight line by, where's my pen? Who stole my pen? No wonder, it is here. It is here, the pen says, I'm here, sir. Look at me. Okay, I've seen you. So from here, connect the line going to the instep and another line going to the tip. My phone battery is about to go out. So if we are going to start our quarter from there, it means we draw a right angle from here. Back to using the stubby pencil. Right. Now we need to curve this in. How are we going to curve it? We divide, this quarter line has already been divided into two, that is half. So true to its name, it has to be a quarter line. So from here to there is about 10 cm. Dividing 10 by 2 will give you 5. So we will start curving from here, which means we will go all the way here, then we'll start curving all the way down this way. Get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. And that, I suppose, is where our French curve comes in to be of real help. Where's my French curve? Because I don't want this video to be too long, I'm going to pause it, look for my French curve, and then get back to the video. Okay, I found my French curve. Broken. So let's fix it. Okay, we performed some very, very evasive surgery on this French curve. But it's not exactly stable, but it will do. So what do? If we draw a right angle from the middle of the van point, so it's right angle to that. So this is beginning to give us an indication of the point from when we can curve in R. So we curve that in like so. So that is the curve of our water. Now, I usually say that I like to have, if this is the middle of the curve right here, I like the curve of my top line to be at least 3 cm. At least it can be more. So let me use 3.5 cm passing through the center, which means I'll probably curve my top line from this point. That works out. So I'm almost done with this design. So if you are looking to design a derby, you are done at this point. So this will be your design ultimately. Let's outline. What football match do they have going on today? There's a whole lot of noise on the streets. Now let's do some heel tightening. If we take about 1 mm inwards and about 1.5 mm outwards, find the middle of the backseam, we can simply connect all 3 points. So we connect from here to pass through that middle and come down to here. So this will be our backseam. Take this guy out of the way. What else do we want to do? So let's outline everything. Now I need an eraser to clean out the parts of this design that are really not relevant. But I'll need to go back to the school backpack of my daughter once again to steal another eraser. So this ends there. Oh yeah, let's do the tongue. Where's the mean form? Where is the mean form? There you are. There's mean form. Mean form says that last length is 35 cm. 35 divided by 4 gives us 8.8. Means 35 divided by 8 gives us 4.4. So the width of our tongue will be 4.4, at least on this side of the design, so that when you double it on the other side of the design, you get 8.8, which is 1/4 of the last length, which again conforms with the rule of quarters. Whew. Designing with these principles makes your life so much easier. This is 4.4 will be around there. 4.4 will be around here. So it means that we can actually take our tongue there. To the inside part of the tongue, we say if it was a loafers, we will take about 1 cm beneath the middle of the vamp line and then connect that point to there. But because it's on the inside of the shoe, we indicate it by using dash instead of solid lines. Right? A number of modifications I want to make to this design. I think this goes back a little too backwards, so I want to bring it a little bit forward. It's design, it's your choice. It has no impact on the physics of the shoe. So this is where we stop because we did 90 degrees, but there's no rule that says you must do everything that I said. And then even I also break my own rules sometimes. Like I always say, know the rules first, then you can break them. Understood? So because I want to bring it, I don't like this curve. I think it will look a little bit better if it curves in a little bit to the front. So 1 cm in front, and I basically can do the same thing that I did, which is curve it to this point. Before we do that, let's use a pencil. Now we're going to find a way to clean this off, but we'll figure that out as we go ahead. But this is not the one, this is the one. Capiche? What else? So we have the derby. Should we add all caps? I think so. Let's not just make things. And then it's another opportunity for me to show you the rules of quarters again, right? So what are we going to use the rule of quarters to do in designing the toe cap? Oh, simple. So we say if this is where the pattern starts, 1/4 of the last length is 8.8. We take 8.8 from that tip. That will bring us here, right? But let's not start exactly there. The rule of quarters will give us an indication point of where we should go. So, but let's add 1 cm to that point, and we have there 9.8. The reason we added 1 cm is because we're ultimately going to subtract 1 cm. And then remember, our water also started 1 cm behind our van point. So we're compensating for all of the 1 cm we've been stealing from the water. I don't know if that makes sense. You get it? If you don't get it, forget about it. So starting from this point, we draw a right angle So rule of quarters, let's talk about what we just did. We said from here to here is 1.4, 1/4 of our last length. But we added an extra 1 cm. So we broke the rule. Why do we do that? Because we dashed 1 cm here, we're going to take back our 1 cm at the bottom. So if we wanted to be lazy, we could just take this as our toe cap. But this is a curve. This is a curve. It's not just a straight line, it curves. And when things curve, they curve towards the front, right? You get it? Now, I said we dash this guy 1 cm. We are going to take back our 1 cm. So take back our 1 cm from here. And so we will basically curve. This is how I do mine. And there's no justification, really. I have no textbook that says do it like this. I just happen to do it like this, and it works for me all the time. You find yours. So we basically curve this in like so. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I have. In fact, if you wanted to be a little more fine-tuned, you have that, and that becomes our toe cap ultimately. This is a 90 degrees, meaning it's going to just intersect. It's going to intersect at the middle of the center line, perfect square, 90 degrees, but then a gentle curve towards the feather edge. You understand? I have been looking for an eraser. I got one. Stole it from my daughter's school bag. So let's do this. Let's clean out all the lines that we really don't need. We are done working with our quarter line, so we don't need it. Of course, you guys saw all that gymnastics that happened there. I wanted to curve the curve. Curve the curve. What kind of English am I speaking this time? I wanted to bring in the curve a little bit, and that's what I did. It was difficult. I had already put it on pencil. I put masking tape and drew over the masking tape. Yeah. Now, what do we need to convert this derby to a Monkstrap shoe? It's simple. Usually, I advise people have your buckles ready before you design your Monkstrap, but I don't have buckles at that ready. So all I need to use is this line that comes from the instep, and then this one. They will be my reference lines from the Monkstrap. You can see that I had already started it out, but didn't catch that on camera, so I'm going to show you. Do I have a pair of dividers handy? I think I do. So if the width of your buckle is going to be, let's say, 1.5 cm, then you probably should take about, so this is 1.5, so you probably should take just 1 cm less than that as the width of your leather straps for the buckle. So this will be 1.4, just to account for you to be able to slot in nicely. So there. Again, remember, this is our top line going all the way, but then this is our quarter line going all the way. So we are using this line as reference. So if we start here, we'll basically mark in the same width, right? So this is the point, and that is the point. If you don't understand what I just did, started from here, 1.4, started from there, 1.4. All we need to do is to find lines that are parallel to this. I'll just eyeball the parallelness of the line, right? So this is parallel to that. That is parallel to this. Is parallel to this. So where is the curve of our Monkstrap? Simple. I keep losing my pen. Okay, I found my pen. So all we need to do is this. Draw in this part of our quarter line. So this. Of course, you know that this isn't part of it. There's a trick we use to clean pen marks when we were in primary school. Put some water on the eraser. Of course, you know it's not water, it's something else. But, you know, for the sake of civility, put some water on the eraser, and then this will be the strap, and that is the strap. How long will it go? We don't know yet. That is also a strap. But we don't want it just intersected at angles, so we can curve this in like so. And then, of course, curve that in like so. If our buckle, where did that light come from? Oh, we could curve that in. Curve that in. So we have the flip over side of our Monkstrap, really all done. Yeah, it's looking rough, but really this Monkstrap shoe is complete. So again, let me point out to you what we have. This, let me outline the part of the Monkstrap that we just designed. This part, that part goes in that way, this part comes down that way, that part comes down that way, and that part goes all the way up that way, that part. So let's say our buckle will be here and there. Just put mark there. Where is my Can't seem to find mine. Just like that. Just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with this design. Let me just go ahead and cut it out so that you can see clearly. Okay, so there is our Monkstrap. Yeah. What? Let's just identify the various parts of this Monkstrap. So this is the number one, which is the toe cap. It's going to be easy to duplicate because it's on a straight line. Then we have the vamp, right? Now this vamp is everything all the way. In fact, let's start from here. It goes like this, like that, comes this way and goes like that. So that's two. The top part is the quarter, which is goes like this, like that, like that, like that. That's the quarter number three. Then, if it was a derby, it would have stopped at the quarter, so just three parts. But now we have a Monkstrap to deal with, meaning that we have number four, which is this flap here. Of course, we'll duplicate one of the quarter and attach the flap to that other side to get the top part of the second part of the quarter. But let's go ahead and duplicate the toe cap. Fold this into two. Hope I'm recording. I am. I will need something to punch with. Let's use this one. This is a low to brush. I put an owl on the mount. Sometimes you improvise. One. Add, I hope I have enough space for 2 cm of lasting allowance. And then cut it out. Scissors. So we have our toe cap. Let's finish it off. Let's leave part number two and do number three, because number three is easy really. And what is number three? Number three is the quarter. So we will. So if this, we really don't have to put number three on a straight line because we're really not duplicating it. So that's the quarter. One thing we forgot to do is to indicate for ourselves where this, yay, shouldn't have done that, especially since we have an all. There, where you are. Yikes. So this will be on the vamp. That on the other hand, that on the other hand will be on the quarter. So let's cut this out. So this is the quarter. Let's make another one of this. Now, before I cut it out, you see that I added some dot ears. If you don't know what it is about, don't worry about it too much. All right? I just added it. Maybe by the time you make the shoe, you find out why. Don't worry about it too much. So now we have two quarters that are like this. One of them is going to have the flap. So let's do the flap. So let's cut it out. So that's the flap, and that is the quarter. So we need the flap to be on the quarter like this. So what are we going to do? We'll take this, keep this aside. Just align it directly. Then we can cover here, cover there. And there we have the flap and the quarter, such that this goes in here like so. And that is ultimately how the Monkstrap is going to be. See it? So what do we have? We have the toe cap, the quarter, and the flap. All that remains is to do the vamp. I'm not going to bore you too much with the vamp. I'm just going to do the vamp. I'm not going to talk about the springing of the vamp. I'm just going to do the vamp. Because I have talked about that in previous videos. You go check them out. But let's do it. This is the outline of the vamp. However, because we have this, which will slot in here, we need to add stitching allowance. And then because we also have this, which would also slot in here. By the way, let us mark in here. We also need to add stitching allowance here. And then, of course, our 2 cm of lasting lines. So, cut. So this is the vamp. That will slot in there like so. This will go there like so. Where's the last guy? And that will go here like so. And there we will have finally our Monkstrap. In the next video, we will build this out. God bless you.